problem that I had with the Frozen Lake battle from Game of Thrones episode 706 was that 2 Deus Ex Machinas were needed to resolve the conflict. Daenerys arrives with her dragons to save the day, as well as Benjen Stark coming out of nowhere to rescue Jon Snow.
I think why a lot of fans had problems with this episode in particular was because it deviates from the tone and expectations of the rest of the series. Up until now in Game of Thrones, when characters are surrounded, instead of being saved miraculously, they are killed or captured.
That's the reality of the world of Game of Thrones. So it feels like a betrayal to the rest of the story when our main characters are saved at the last minute by improbable means.
However, I think that with a couple small changes to the plot, the story could avoid the need for these Ex Machinas, and correct several other minor issues as well, while still preserving the major plot points of the fight. So here's how I believe the Frozen Lake battle should have played out. We start the same way. The Fellowship encounters a small group of whites and a lone White Walker. After defeating all but one white, the group thinks that they have hit the jackpot, but quickly realize that the entire army of the dead is quickly approaching. So they send Gendry to run back to Eastwatch in a desperate attempt to get help from Dany, grab the captured white, and start running. They make their way to the island in the center of the frozen lake before the weight of the pursuing zombies breaks the ice. Encircled, but apparently safe for now. Now here's where things start to get a little different. We cut to Gendry, who is running through a snowstorm on his way back to Eastwatch. He can barely see in front of him, but keeps going. The camera pulls back and reveals a White Walker and a horde of whites looking at Gendry pass by. And yet they're ignoring him and not attacking. But why? Back at the frozen lake, it's unclear how much time has passed, but everyone on the island seems to be weary. Jon notices that the Night King is doing something strange. He's staring at the sky, not at the group on the island. Jon is confused, when suddenly it hits him, that the Night King is waiting for something. Then they all hear the roar of a dragon in the distance, and everything clicks into place for Jon, as the horde suddenly starts to charge towards the island, across the refrozen lake. Jon realizes that Dany and the dragons aren't safe, and have been lured into some sort of trap by the Night King. Dany and Drogon land on the island, torching the dead as everyone begins to climb aboard. Jon is desperately trying to fight his way to the Night King. We see the Night King ready his javelin as Viserion comes right for him. Just as it looks like Viserion is about to hit the Night King with a burst of flame, he gets struck with a frozen spear to the chest, and goes down. Everyone is horrified for one short moment, but then they realize that they need to get out, now. Dany sees the Night King readying his second spear, and knows that she has to take off without Jon, who is too far away and is getting overrun with zombies. As Dany and the crew take flight, she yells at Rhaegal to retreat. Rhaegal swerves away from the Night King at the last second, but the Night King still hits him in the shoulder with a spear. Rhaegal crashes to the ground on one of the nearby cliff tops. Dany is distraught as Drogon roars with anger as they fly away into the clouds. Jon, frustrated with his failure, continues to try to get to the Night King, but starts to become overwhelmed by whites. Suddenly, a blast of fire erupts near Jon. Rhaegal is missing a chunk of his shoulder and is bleeding badly, but has mostly recovered and is clearing out a large number of whites with his fire. Rhaegal also shoots some flame towards the Night King and White Walkers, forcing them to retreat slightly.
He lands next to Jon, who quickly scrambles onto Rhaegal. Rhaegal continues to spray fire everywhere in his rage, as he takes off with Jon on his back.
The Night King seems to be lining up another shot at them as they fly away, but they're too far, and he lowers his spear.
And scene.
Quick note, in this alternate reality version of the story, in the previous episode Jon bonded with Rhaegal, not Drogon, which is why Rhaegal comes to rescue Jon Snow. So, to recap, this version's improvements are: the elimination of 2 Deus Ex Machinas, Benjen Stark doesn't come out of nowhere, and Dany's arrival isn't an Ex Machina anymore because she no longer arrives just in the nick of time. Her arrival is now the catalyst for the entire battle.
And one could even contend that it removes 3 Ex Machinas, if you count Jon surviving being drowned in the frozen lake. And arguably the most important thing that the new version achieves is to clarify that the Night King used his green seeing to know that the dragons were coming so that he could kill and convert one. This makes it apparent that he has a plan for getting past the wall, instead of making it seem that he just luckily crossed paths with a dragon.
This gives the Night King a bit more depth to what is otherwise a pretty generic villain.
Overall, while I realize that the show can't be as nuanced as the books, and that The Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring are still unpublished, I hope that the writers can overcome those difficulties for the upcoming final season of Game of Thrones, and improve their writing from Season 7, eliminating many of the plot holes, ex machinas, and gaps in logic that I and many other fans found frustrating.
Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want more videos like this.
If you made it this far, you should also check out my video that discusses how to fix the entire Capture a White plot from Season 7.
Thanks to Reddit user Let It Fall for the inspiration for this video. See you next time.